All right, you guys, it's episode 56 of War Stories. And without further ado, I'm going to get straight back to it. So let's see if I can get another one out for you guys. I just dropped episode 55. Let's see if I can hit you guys with 56 and let's see if it makes the cut. So anyways, I'm going to take you guys back to, again, 1987. Well, this one's going to go back a little further. This might be around 86, 87. The end of 86, the beginning of 87. So around this time, I'm running around with Sleepy, John Romero from The Mission. Again, this is an older homeboy of mine who I refer to as my criminal mentor because he's the one that laced me up and taught me everything that I learned as far as being a criminal. All my bad habits, all my bad characteristics, everything that I learned in the streets all came through him. I learned that belief system. I learned that criminal mentality. So at that time, you know, my mentality is basically to try to show out. I'm young and I want to prove myself. So at every given opportunity, at every turn, I'm doing shit just to show out in front of Sleepy or to show out in front of some of my older homeboys. Because, you know, from running around in the streets from the time when I was around 12 up until 17, as a young gang member, one of the things that I would learn is what I refer to as the status mobility system. And that's basically where, you know, how gang members earn their respect, they earn their credibility. And they do that by committing acts of violence. So I learned from watching other homeboys out there in the streets. I learned from watching how they moved, how they walked, how they walked and talked. And, you know, those individuals that had a history of stomping cats out in my neighborhood, beating people up, shooting people, stabbing people, those were the ones that got respect. So I learned that. I learned that I had to spill blood in order to get that same respect. And again, I've said this before, but this is something that I'm going to repeat probably 100 more times, because as long as I tell these stories, this is something that's part of that belief system. And that's, you know, whether it's in prison or whether it's on the streets, you earn your credibility and your respect by how violent you are. People will fear you, but they'll also respect you. And again, the fastest way to gain either credibility or status in a street gang, in a criminal organization, anything criminal in the criminal element, is by being violent, by either being violent or being productive, being a breadwinner, making a lot of money, generating a lot of money. So, you know, I learned that early on. And from the time I was 14 to 17, there was a lot of shit that I was doing out in the streets that was just some boneheaded, dumb shit. And again, the only reason why I was doing it is because I wanted my homies to see me. Look at me. Look at what I can do. You know, stab somebody for no reason, beat somebody up for no reason, you know, shoot somebody for no reason. If we were out and there was 5 or 6 of us and we had a pistol and we were just young kids, young gang members out in the neighborhood, and we wanted to shoot somebody, I wanted to be the one to grab the gun and be the one that would shoot somebody so that I could get that attention, that I could get that recognition. So this is a story where, you know, this incident that happened, it was a prime example of me committing an act of violence for no other reason other than just to prove that I was capable of hurting somebody. And it wasn't because I really enjoyed spilling somebody else's blood. I enjoyed hurting somebody. It was because I wanted the homies to see what I was doing, to see that, you know, I was capable of being, you know, like them. So, you know, this one's going to be a short one. It's going to be you know, I'm going to get straight to the point. I'm not going to give you guys a whole bunch of fluff. I'm just going to straight tell you what happened. So at that time, like I said, I'm running around with Sleepy, but we ran into 2 other homeboys that day. And these were other individuals that I would kick it with. Neither one of these other 2 dudes they weren't really hitters. They were homeboys from Excelsior that lived up in the Excelsior district. And I would fuck with them from time to time, but they were more like drinking partners. They were homeboys that I would kick it with. Cats that, you know, when I was young, that, you know, I would huff glue with and shit like that, or smoke PCP. That's what they were into. I never liked none of that stuff, but I would do it because that's what they were into. My thing was more into, I was drinking at that time. So, but these guys were individuals that I liked. I liked their stilo. They were cool cats to kick it with, even though they weren't really about it like that. They were just some cool individuals to drink with and to party with. So, that day we were out there in the Sunset District. We're kicking it out there in the Sunset District, and we were partying all day. And the homeboy Vic, he had I want to say it was like a 67 drop top Impala, and it was a badass Impala, man. That was like his baby. But it was a drop top, and we were flying all over the city that day. I remember we were driving to all kind of different places. They were trying to get a leño because they wanted to get dusted. That's what we used to call it. Back in those days, there used to be a lot of PCP in San Francisco. We used to call them either killers or dust, angel dust. So we would call them, when we would smoke them, we would call it getting dusted. Anyway, so I don't remember if we ended up finding any KJ that day. And we also used to call them raw ones too. I don't remember if we found anything that day, but we were downtown, and I don't even remember how we ran into this dude, but there was a cat that was another ex-military dude. He was just a happy-go-lucky cat. He was out there, and I think we met him going into a liquor store or something. We were going into a liquor store, and we were buying a bunch of Mickey's Big Mouths, and we were just going to go. I think we were going to go to the beach and kick it that day. And this dude was in there. For no other reason, he was just a happy-go-lucky dude. He just reached out. I want to say he reached out to Mackie and was like, "Hey, what's up, man? What you guys doing? You guys, out here drinking?" And he was like, "What you guys drinking at?" And Mackie was like, "Oh, man, we're gonna go out to the beach, out to Ocean Beach and kick it out there." And this dude was like, "Hey, man, if you guys want to come back I got a cool little spot over here. It's like right there in the Sunset District. You guys can come over there, and you guys want to drink, we could drink over there, man." He was like, "I got some hard liquor." He was like, "I ain't got no friends out here. I just got out the military. I don't know anybody, so I'd love to have some company," right? So, we were like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? If the dude wants to invite us over and he's got liquor and he's opening his doors, why not? So it was me, Sleepy, Mackie, Victor, and his girl. I remember he was with his girl. So anyway, this dude had his own car. So we all jumped back in Vic's ride, and we follow this dude to his pad. Now we get to his pad, and it's in one of the nice, it's kind of like an apartment complex. Well, it was an apartment complex, but it was like one of those nice apartment complexes that are in that part of the city. The Sunset is a nice area in San Francisco. It is one of the, it's an upper class, it's probably the suburbs out there. And this is probably one of the only times that, I victimized somebody outside of my neighborhood, and it wasn't by design, it was by chance. But anyway, so, we were on our way over there, and I remember I'm in the back seat drinking a beer, and I tell the homeboys, I tell Sleepy, I'm like, "What are we gonna do?" And he's like, "What do you think? What do you think we're gonna do?" He's like, "We're gonna fucking peel this dude's cat, bro." He's like, "Let's just play it by ear." He's like, "Just wait and see what happens." You know what I mean? We'll see what kind of shit this dude has, and then we'll play it by ear, man. So I'm like, okay. So I already know that we're gonna get him. This dude's already done. The only thing he could have done at that point to stop it is to just sped off and not have us go over there. That's the only thing he could have done. There was nothing else that was going to stop his fate from that point on. So anyways, we get to his apartment complex, we park, and we all end up going into his apartment. And I'm gonna say this, man, it's messed up because the dude was a cool ass dude. He was just good people. He was somebody that, like he said, he didn't have friends. He didn't really know anybody out there in the city. He had just came out of the military. I don't know if he had discharged. I don't remember. I don't remember that far back. I don't remember if he was on leave. I don't remember if he was going back. I don't remember that part of it. All I know is that he just came out of the military and, he was out there in the city and he just wanted to just fraternize, just kick it with somebody. That's all he wanted to do. We get over there, we're complete strangers, we're gang members, but this dude didn't care. He breaks out some photo albums and he's showing us all kind of pictures of him in the military, and he brings out all these different kinds of medals that he won in the military, and none of us know what any of this shit means, but we're drinking and we're just kicking it with the dude. Everybody's having a good time. Victor don't know what's going on. Mackie don't know what's going on as far as us getting ready to take this dude down. The only one that knew besides me was Sleepy, and that's because we were the only two cats there that were into that type of shit. These other two dudes, again, I'm not gonna call them. They weren't. They were just some cool cats to kick it with. That's all I'm gonna say, because I do have a lot of history with one of them, Mackie Alakan, and some of his brothers. And I probably will have a few more stories that I'm going to tell you about him. So I'm not going to put him in a bad light like that. I'm just going to say that kind of activity wasn't his thing, as far as robbing people and hurting people and stuff like that we would do out there in the hood. His thing was just smoking KJ, drinking, and women, which was nothing wrong with that. But anyways, so, as time goes by, we're up there in this dude's pad. And again, man, he's showing us nothing but hospitality. He goes in the kitchen, he brings out potato chips, dip. I mean, he's going all out to just show some love to his company, man. And, I'm feeling my liquor by then. Back in those days, I used to be able to drink beer without acting like a fool. When I was younger, around 14, 13, 12, alcohol used to make me violent. I would drink beer, alcohol, always malt liquor, and I would want to fight. It would give me that liquid courage. I would want to fight. I didn't care how drunk I was. I drink. If I seen you looking at me, we're going to fight. As I got a little bit older, 17, 18, I started to mellow out. However, the hard liquor would make me violent. I started drinking Cisco. I didn't care what it was. It could be Night Train, and that's some cheap ass wino shit, wino wine. It could be hard liquor, gin, vodka, whatever. But it was a mistake giving me hard liquor. And this dude he had a bottle of something. I want to say it was Bacardi or something. But he's pouring drinks and starting to get buzzed. And whatever kind of liquor it was that we were drinking, he had set the bottle down on the, his living room table, one of his end tables. So, I look at Sleepy, and Sleepy's like, he's just sitting there, just like still playing it by ear, man. And the other, Victor's kicking it with his girl's sitting on his lap. They're kicking back, and Mackie's over there looking through this dude's photo albums, and these cats are oblivious to what me and Sleepy are thinking about. So anyways, again, my mindset at that time was to show out. I was trying to impress upon Sleepy that, I was a violent youngster, and that, I was worthy enough to kick it with him. I felt like, he was older than me. This dude was around 26, 27 at that time. He had been in the joint. He was hermano. And here I was, 16, 17 years old. I felt like I needed to prove myself in order to kick it with a cat of his caliber. At least that's how I was thinking at that time. So without any kind of warning, without saying anything, I stand up, like I'm going to stretch or something, or I stood up to use the bathroom. And this dude was standing across, like on the other side of his table. And I picked up the bottle that was on his end table, and I swung it, and I hit him as hard as I could with the bottle. When I swung it, the bottle shattered. When it shattered, glass and the little bit of liquor that was left sprayed everybody that was in there. Sprayed Victor, his lady, Mackie. They all got mad. They actually got mad and almost left us behind because when I did that, I hit him. This dude dropped. I mean, as soon as I hit him, he dropped and he just curled up into a ball. He didn't try to fight back. It was completely, I caught him by complete surprise, and Sleepy didn't even know that I gave him no warning. But anyways, I cracked him with the bottle bust. I split him open. Dude was leaking, and soon as he goes down, Sleepy jumps up and he starts going through his pockets. So I go into his room. I start looking through his room, and it was loud, man. Believe it or not, it was loud. Just hitting him with the bottle, and him hitting the ground, and the other part of the bottle went flying across the room. It was loud. And again, these other cats, when I did it, they all jumped up. They all jumped up and went straight for the door. They didn't. It's not like they just sat there and watched us doing what we were doing. Everybody jumped up and they hit the fucking door. They're like, I'm gone. I'm out of here. So Victor, his lady, Mackie, they all hit the front door. Me and Sleepy are still up there ransacking the pad. And, we got on this dude for a minute. Sleepy got on him after he went down. He socked him a couple times, kicked him. But this dude was through. I caught him square in the face with the bottle. And it was one of them thick-ass bottles, and it broke. So that gives you an idea how hard I hit this dude. I wish I could give you that. But there wasn't none of that. Maybe going down the stairs, which I'll get to in a minute. So we because it was so loud and because it happened so fast and the other homies hit the front door, we didn't really even stay in there long enough to really get anything. Because we went into his room. I ran into his room. I opened up a couple drawers. I flipped his bed, looked in his closet. I didn't see shit. There was nothing that I took from his room. The only thing that we took was the money that he had in his pocket and some of the jewelry that he had on. A watch that wasn't shit, a chain that ended up being fake gold, and I want to say he had a ring. The only thing that was real was the ring that he had. Maybe a wedding band or something. I don't know. So after we strip him for his jewelry, we get his money. Sleepy runs out the front door. He actually left before I did. He got the money out of the dude's pocket, and he was like, come on, let's go. So the whole time that we're in there, this dude stayed in a fetal position, curled up, didn't say nothing, didn't move. The whole time we were there, this dude didn't try to get up. He stayed in the fetal position the whole time while we were ransacking his room, while Sleepy was going through his pockets, while we were taking his jewelry. He stayed in the fetal position. Even when I hit the door, I looked back, the dude was still laying there in a fetal position. I could see, he was leaking though. When we were taking his jewelry off and, homeboy was going through his pants, you could see that there was blood on his floor and there was blood all over his face and on his hands, like he had probably felt his face to see where he was cut and got blood all over his hands. I don't know. But anyways, I was the last one out of the apartment. When I came out the apartment, I ended up running out so fast that I fucking hit the stairs and rolled all the way down the fucking stairs like a dumbass. And that's why I'm going to give you that. Anyways, so I ended up hitting the bottom deck. I jumped up. The power of youth, man. I was young back then. I was thinking about that the other day. Being young like that, being able to run down a flight of stairs or falling down a flight of stairs. You're young, you're versatile, you're flexible, and you're not as susceptible to getting hurt as like if I tried to do that shit right now at 53, I'd probably break both my legs and a couple ribs. Anyways, when I came out, Sleepy had stopped Victor and them from leaving. They almost left. They were going to leave us. I was the last one out. If Sleepy wouldn't have got out there when he did, they would have been gone because he stopped them and he told them, no, you're not going to leave the home. You're not going to leave us, bro. So when I came out, they were right in front. I jumped in. We took off. Again, man, there was no rhyme or reason for hurting that individual other than just to show that I was violent. Again, I talked a little bit about this the other day, and you guys got to understand that's the mentality of young gang members is learning how to commit acts of violence like that, and again learning how to suppress your feelings, becoming insensitive to hurting somebody like that. The average normal person that doesn't engage in that type of activity wouldn't hurt somebody like that. They wouldn't go over to somebody's house, somebody that's trying to show them some hospitality, somebody that's trying to show them a good time, and end up smacking them with a bottle, beating them up, taking their shit, and leaving them laying on their living room floor in a pool of blood. The average person wouldn't do that because they would just think that that's fucked up and that's your conscience. I have a conscience nowadays. Like I've said before, I've always said this before when I talk about it, and I'm kind of being, I'm lightweight being humorous about it. But now if I'll be the first one, if I see a little spider running across the floor and stepping on his little ass, I'll scoop him up and throw him out the back door instead of killing him. So I guess all these years of everything that I've been through, it's humbled me, and it somehow has made me realize, that I do have a conscience, and that, I can feel some sympathy, or, feel bad about something that I do to somebody else. I understand all that now. You learn that as you get older. The other things that I've learned is, like, when I was running around out there in the streets and I used to rob people, I used to break into people's cars, burglarize houses, burglarize people's businesses. People work for that shit. People invest their money into their businesses, and they feel, a level of pride about it. When they buy their vehicles, they buy a nice car, and they invest some money into it by putting rims on it, by putting a nice system in there, maybe whatever it is, tinting the windows. But they do that, and there's some pride to it. I understand that now. I have a truck, I have a bike, and I couldn't even imagine if somebody broke into my truck and ripped out my stereo. I couldn't imagine if somebody took the tires off my bike or stripped my bike of something. I would be beyond upset. So, when I think about how it would make me feel now, it makes me, it just makes me appreciate things on a different level. Whereas before, I didn't do that. So those are lessons that we learn as we get older. You learn that as you get older. There's a lot of times when we're young, we do things out there, we don't think about it. We don't think about how we're affecting people. We don't think about how this guy right here, he might go to work 6 days a week for 12 hours a day. Maybe he's working two jobs, that he's paid for everything he has, and it's honest money. And then somebody comes by and robs him, takes his shit, burglarizes his car, vandalizes it. And then, this guy has to pay to get this stuff fixed. Maybe he doesn't have insurance, but he's got to come out of pocket now and fix this problem that some idiot came along and created for him. So anyways, there's a message in this war story right here. And again, let me just say this for those of you that watch these war stories. When I first started doing this channel, it wasn't about telling war stories. It was about trying to educate you guys on certain things, certain things that I've been through, different parts of my life. It was about educating you on some of the things that I had to learn the hard way. I wanted some of you to capitalize off of some of my mistakes. And I wanted to give you guys, some of those pointers so that you might not fall victim to the same things that I did. That's what it was all about when I first created this channel. Then some of you wanted to know, about some of the things that I used to do in the streets. You guys started asking for war stories. And I knew that once I started doing that, that was going to come with a level of criticism. People were going to be like, man, this dude, all he does is tell war stories. And that's okay. I'll take that. But as long as there's a message in there and you guys take something positive from it, then it serves a purpose. It's not just to tell war stories to make myself look good, to make myself look violent, to make myself look a certain way, because that's not what it's about for me. I don't got to prove nothing to nobody. I've done that time and time again. And I do this for you guys. So some of it's about accommodating what you guys want to see. And some of it is just about, some of my personal goals. Anyways, this episode 56. I know it was another short one, but I'm trying to get out as many as I can to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to try to get out another one to you guys either tonight, or if not tonight, I'll be back tomorrow with episode 57. With that said, I'm out.